Hey guys, this is Tammy, and today we're going to talk about getting what's fair in child custody court. Now, let me just say at the outset that dads, this is a little bit more for you, okay, this time. Honestly, saying that you want what's fair is one of the number one things that I hear from dads. I just want what's fair. And while I can understand that, it's not usually a successful argument, and I'm going to explain why in this video. Now, before we dive in, as always, if you like this content, you find it helpful, please hit like on this video and also subscribe to the channel so that you get notified as new videos are released. The first thing you have to understand about the fair argument is it implies that the court somehow cares what's fair between you and your ex-spouse. And they don't. That's not the perspective that a judge comes at a child custody case with, or any part of your case, really. Asking for what's fair, I mean, that's also subjective. Who's to say what's fair? What's fair to who? What's fair to you? What's fair to the other parent? What's fair to the children? Maybe you have multiple children. What's fair to child one, child two, child three? I mean, that in and of itself is just not a concrete enough argument. And yet I see so many dads make that argument. And the court really wants you to think things through more than I want what's fair. Okay. The court comes at this from the perspective of what is best for the child. And when I say best, I mean best, what's in the child's best interest. And a lot of people kind of go, oh, okay, what's in their best interest is this thing. I don't mean what's in their best interest as a reasonable parent or what a reasonable parent would do. When we talk about best interest of the child, you have to understand that that's a term that has a definition under the laws in your state. So whatever state you're in, I would encourage you to go out and look up best interest of the child and read it so that you understand when the court is assessing things through the best interest, what factors are they looking at in your particular state? Most states have some form of, okay, anything that, best interest is primarily around things that refer to the children's health, safety, and welfare. Okay. That's kind of the core piece of it. And then there can be other factors like, each parent's involvement with the child or kind of the history of the relationships. And some states consider the child's opinion or the child's input at different ages. Some states don't ever do that. So it can vary a lot state to state, but I would encourage you to Google best interest of the child in your state so that you can understand what that is. But that is the lens through which the court is assessing all of this, not what's fair. And, they want you to have put thought into this about what's in the child's best interest and why. So instead of saying, oh, I want 50-50 because that's what's fair, a better argument is, well, I think a week on, week off schedule would be most appropriate because it gives the child a lot of stability. They don't have to transition back and forth a lot. It means the transitions will be at school, which eliminates the opportunity for conflict between me and the other parent. And it still allows the child to see each parent, every 7 days. And so they're not going too long of a stretch without seeing the other parent. See, those are all child-focused arguments of why you're asking for a particular schedule. But just saying, I want 50-50 because it's fair, the court's like, really? You not even put any thought into like what's best for your kid or what might work or what the child's schedule is or what they have going on. If you have a teenager and that teenager is involved in extracurricular activities and they work every day, well, maybe week on, week off isn't a good schedule for that particular child. Maybe you're better off doing every other weekend and a weekday overnight because the child has a lot of their own activities and they have things going on. And so that kind of keeps you in the loop, keeps you from not seeing the child as, not going long periods without seeing the child, but also not being too disruptive to the child's own personal schedule. So again, just kind of thinking through those issues and thinking through, how has your home functioned historically with the children, or what has your parenting plan been historically with the children? And if we're asking for a change to that, or we're asking for a parenting plan in the first instance, kind of bringing in, well, this is what the child's used to. This is what we've been doing. This is the history. Here's why it would be good to have this change or to implement this particular parenting schedule. Okay. Again, all things that show that I'm thinking about it from the perspective of the child and what the impact is going to be to them. Many states do lean towards that joint custody arrangement, but not all states do. So, some states feel like it's better for the child to have one primary resident, and then they visit the other parent, like I said, every other weekend and a weekday overnight, or something along those lines. And, some of the studies are starting to show that there's some benefit to children having one place that's sort of home base, where all their things and all of their, they kind of function out of for all of their stuff. And, to be able to go and see the other parent, but kind of be functioning out of one primary place. I think that's particularly true with teenagers. We see that a little more with older children than we do with younger children, but that is the perspective that some states take. Here's the thing about saying 50-50, or, I want 50-50 because that's what's fair, is a lot of times when you use percentages like that, the courts interpret that as you only care about the money. And, I know that's not necessarily the case when you're using that term, but it is the impression that it gives the court. And the court very much separates the support issue from the custody and parenting schedule issue. They take those two things separately. One doesn't influence the other. If one parent lives in a multi-million-dollar home and the other parent lives in a middle-class neighborhood, well, the parent with the multi-million-dollar home isn't going to get more parenting time. Or maybe one parent lives in a 3-bedroom home and the other parent has a 1-bedroom apartment. Well, as long as they can accommodate, the child having their own sleep space, like a mattress on the floor or whatever, where the child has their own, sleeping arrangement that's not in with the other parent, most of the time the courts find that adequate. If you have a little bit older child, that can be a little more challenging. But, even in that instance, I've seen parents do things like, well, the child uses the bedroom, the 1 bedroom that I have, and I sleep on the couch or the pull out or whatever when the child's here. And so, all those types of arrangements are usually fine with the court because they're usually more concerned with that parent having parenting time, than they are having a 3-bedroom home with all of this space or whatever. We don't want to be giving the impression in the custody argument that we're worried about, paying less child support or more child support or whatever, whichever end of that issue that you're on. You don't want the court to come away with the impression that you're only concerned about the money, how much you're going to have to pay or how much you're going to get. Again, they separate those two things a lot. So we want to keep it focused on the custody issues. And I find that it's best for parents to talk about this in terms of, what should the parenting plan be? What should the schedule be? And why? Why is that good for the child? Why is that workable for the parents? How do we come up with that cooperative schedule? So do not use the term 50-50. Do not use the term, I want what's fair. Okay. I think both of those things are going to sink your ship. Come at it from a perspective of what's good for your child, what's a good schedule, why does this create stability for the child? How does this keep the child having contact with both parents on a fairly regular basis? Those are going to be your child-focused perspectives that the court is going to take. If you find this content helpful and you'd like to talk to me about your own personal situation, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There's a link on that page where you can book a free strategy session with me. And I would love to talk to you and see how I might be able to help you with your child custody journey. I'll see you guys next time.